Voilà, je vous rejoins.
Cool. Qui nous accueille? C'est toi qui nous accueille?
Non, non, c'est pas moi qui vous accueille. Normalement, c'est Catherine qui nous accueille.
D'accord.
Voilà. Là, l'enregistrement a commencé. Simplement pour le signaler.
L'enregistrement a commencé. Si tu veux. Ouais. Ah bah, je sais pas si... Ouais.
Tu me vois?
Ouais. Excuse-moi, je te vois. Là, tu me vois? Moi, je te vois pas. Je suis dans la salle d'attente, en fait.
Tu es dans la salle d'attente. Participants. L'enregistrement a démarré. OK.
On n'est pas dans le même endroit. Hein. Est-ce que j'ai le bon lien?
Si, bah, a priori, si, c'est ce que tu as. Il y a Noémie qui est déjà là, a priori.
Salut,
Donc,
Noémie.
hop.
Ça y est, je te vois.
Et on peut accueillir Noémie.
Salut,
Alors,
Noémie. Ouais. Du coup,
je ne sais pas si tu as l'interface donc comme la mienne, mais normalement, sur le bandeau qui est tout en haut, tu as conversation, participant, lever la main, etc.
ouais.
Et tu as 3 petits points autres.
Yes. Salut.
Quand tu appuies sur autre, tu as langue et voix.
J'ai quoi? Langue et voix, ouais, ok.
Et donc tu cliques sur afficher les sous-titres.
Hop, afficher les sous-titres. Voilà. Ça y est.
Donc les sous-titres, a priori, je ne sais pas quand est-ce qu'ils s'affichent pour toi.
Bah là, il s'affiche, par exemple, tu es en train de parler. Look well, ok, sweetie, happy to work. Non, non, non.
Alors, dans les paramètres, en fait, ce qui se passe, c'est qu'il y a la petite roue crantée qui est en haut à droite des sous-titres. Et donc là, langue parlée, on va mettre français.
Alors,
voilà.
Langue parlée, français.
Et là, c'est là où, en fait, tu peux, langue des sous-titres.
Attends,
non, il y a quelqu'un qui vient de modifier les choses.
Attends, je suis en train de le faire.
Vas-y, vas-y.
C'est toi qui le fais ou pas?
Non, non, vas-y, vas-y. Donc là, c'est modifié. Donc, langue parlée français. Et c'est là où, si par exemple nos interlocuteurs veulent avoir la traduction quand on parle en français, ils viennent, faire la même démarche, donc afficher les sous-titres, et puis après cette petite roue crantée où ça te permet d'avoir les options. Et là, ils viennent dans langue. Donc tu vois, tu as corrigé les choses dans langue parlée français.
Ouais.
Au-dessus, tu as langue des sous-titres, et c'est là où en fait ils peuvent naviguer soit entre français ou d'autres langues, et notamment l'anglais. Est-ce que tu le vois?
Donc il faut que chacun le fasse.
Exactement, c'est pour ça que c'est important c'est pour ça que la question de Catherine au départ était de savoir si les uns et les autres avaient la version de Teams Premium, parce qu'en fait, quand tu as une version de Teams standard, la langue des sous-titres est forcément la langue parlée. Alors que quand on a une version Premium, comme c'est le cas pour nous, la langue parlée, si on choisit français, eh ben, les sous-titres vont apparaître en français, mais on aura le choix de les modifier, sans que ça modifie la langue parlée.
Ouais, mais comment on sait ça si les gens.
Alors, justement, c'est pour ça que lors de l'envoi du mail et des tests qu'on avait pu faire, Catherine avait demandé aux uns et aux autres de réagir pour savoir s'ils avaient ou non la version premium ou pas.
Ah ouais, d'accord. Donc ça, il faudra que Catherine m'explique. Moi, je pourrais pas l'expliquer en anglais, là, je pense.
Ok. Alors, par contre, j'ai vu que d'autres personnes nous avaient rejoint, notamment la ville de Rennes.
Salut.
Par contre, on ne vous entend pas. Alors, attendez, c'est peut-être moi qui n'ai pas mis mon micro.
Non, j'appelle Catherine. Du coup, il va falloir expliquer à chacun. En fait, chacun a la main sur ses traductions de sous-titres.
Oui, d'accord.
Donc, il faut s'assurer, je ne sais pas s'ils auront. Les gens qui n'ont pas premium, ils n'auront pas la traduction, quoi. Excuse-moi, Laurent.
Oui, je t'en prie. Je t'entends bien, par contre. C'est vrai que du côté de la ville de Rennes, alors je suis désolé, je ne vous connais pas, mais je vous entendais donc pas.
Donc, nous, là, en fait, il faut que chacun aille dans.
Et le document, il faut l'ouvrir? Le
Et pour,
document,
et pour ouvrir le document, Catherine?
Vas-y, vas-y. Oui,
Alors là,
ouvre
j'ai
le
un
document.
externe. Il y a Gretche, pardon, qui
Attends,
demande.
ouais.
J'autorise.
Partager.
Hello.
Hello, Gretchen.
Alors,
Hi.
Hello, hello. Vas-y.
J'ai l'impression qu'on ne vous entend pas encore au niveau de la ville de Rennes. Je ne sais pas si de votre côté, c'est le cas également.
On a ouvert le document, mais ça n'a pas l'air de s'allumer. Ça n'a pas l'air de.
je choisis.
Comment on fait pour que ça s'ouvre?
C'est dans Partager, juste à côté des boutons caméra et microphone.
Ouais, mais attends, je n'arrive pas à sélectionner.
Et là, on voit,
Oui.
par exemple, tu viens de partager, Raphaël.
Là, c'est
Et
bon.
tu
Là.
vois le document?
Oui, je vois le document.
C'est bon?
Voilà, là, c'est en plein écran.
Ouais, ça marche.
Ok, ça va.
Là, il y a notamment en externe Lidvi Elson qui veut se connecter.
Bah oui, c'est très bien. Elle est de
J'autorise.
Leuven. De Leuven,
Ok.
c'est a friend of Gretchen from
Yes.
Leuven.
Yes.
Excusez-moi pour l'accent.
Et par contre, il faut qu'on se voit.
Ouais. Bah non, on ne se voit pas. Donc j'arrête le partage parce
Masqué? Tu peux mettre masqué, non?
Non, masquer, c'est pour à masquer le terme.
Ah, pardon.
L'affichage de
on va mettre
votre écran.
Ok, il y a deux documents à il y a il y a la partie 1 et la partie 2. Hein.
que. Yes.
C'est bon? Tu sauras faire donc je parle?
Bah, on
Oui.
verra, ouais.
Ok. Good morning!
Hello, Lidway.
Alors,
Hello, good morning.
Hello. How can we pronounce well your very nice name?
My name?
Yes.
Lidewe.
Lidewen. Is it
Lidewe.
correct? Lidewen. Okay.
Without a N at the end. Without an N. So just Lidewe.
Lidewe. Lidewe, it's okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for we hein, Gretchen? For 2
Yeah.
years. We now pronounce your name very well now.
Yes, yes. After a lot of practice, it's fine.
Very lots of practice, you know. You were in Great Britain, Lidway, no? We met there, no?
No.
It's just Dan.
No. It was
Yeah,
Dan.
just yeah.
It was Dan, huh? Yeah, I remember Dan very well. Mhm.
Yeah.
So we're expecting at least 10 participants, mostly from Great Britain. I see Nadine Brown Williams. She's not on the screen, but she got connected. And so, yeah, hello, Nadine.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello.
Oh, hold on a moment.
Hello.
Sorry. I'm just sharing the office, just bear with me.
No problem.
This is Inga, who's just joined us. Going straight up.
Hey, Derek.
Hello. Hello, Doc.
So how many people do you expect, Catherine?
At least 10.
Oh, okay, nice.
And mostly from Great Britain and a bit of Flanders
Yes.
and a few French. Your favorite French, Gretchen.
Yes. All right,
Us.
1 minute.
Hello. Fanny, tu es connectée? Ville de Rennes.
Fanny, on t'entend pas.
Wait, the microphone is not on. Fanny or Pauline. Okay.
Microphone.
So we're waiting 5 minutes. So where are you from, Nadine?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm from the Scheme of Management, which is based in Dulwich, Southwark. So I'm the
Alright.
Principal Applications Officer. So I look at all the freehold property and I make approvals for any developments that are external. So that might be a single story row extension, new house. It can be an array of things, but it's all to do with external changes to the character of a building that needs to be assessed with our design guidelines.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Dirk, who are you, Dirk?
I'm Dirk. I live in Belgium, Beringen, one of the former mining industries in Limburg. So, and I'm
Limburg,
yeah,
it's
wait.
our region.
Ah, Limburg.
Yeah,
Yes.
Limburg, yeah. And
Limburg,
I'm responsible for all the heritage in the municipality of Beringen. And one of the topics is the not only the mining side, but also the small villages, the garden cities
city.
around the mining area. How to handle it with to the future.
Fine. Sorry. Okay. So, what about Rem?
Ils ont
Oh,
un
friends.
problem with the microphone. They
Yeah.
can hear us, but we can hear them.
And shall we use the phone something?
She try,
yeah, she's trying.
She tried to manage.
She's trying.
with
Okay.
somebody.
Okay. So we are going to. Qu'est-ce qu'elle veut? On commence? Shall we begin?
Yes.
Huh? Yes. Shall we begin? Yeah. So people will come. I see Callum, and Kathleen de Selar. Sorry for the pronunciation. Maybe they will appear on the screen just afterwards. So our big chief is Gretje. And in fact, she will have the task, in fact, to introduce if she wants, if she wishes, because she's really, I said, the big chief, because in fact, she initiated our personal entrance in this network of garden cities. And for us and the Ville de Rem, Fanny will come in a few minutes, Fanny Meillac from the Ville de Rem, which is a mining town in the eastern part of the Nord-Pas-de-Calais coalfield. And for us, it really initiated a process at home. So it's really fruitful to belong to the Garden Cities network, retrofitting Garden Cities network. And in fact, we tried with Gretje to follow up the process. So our idea is quite humble, to keep up the flame. And in fact, we don't have we are not up to the very powerful garden cities in Great Britain network and so on and so on. We are very humble, but we tried in fact to keep up the flame. So I give you the floor, my dear Gretje.
Okay.
To review, in fact, the milestone of the process since we met in last year.
Thank you, Catherine. It's a bit much, all the credit, but I was very happy to be able to be part of this network since 2021. That's the few slides I wanted to share. Hold on. Let's see. Yes. So in 2022, we first came together in England. With we were hosted by the people of Ledgewood Garden City, who are also part of the International Institute of Garden City Institute. And because I was able, with funding, to organize this together with all the partners you can see below. Can you see the screen I shared? Yes. So from our non-governmental organization that's connected to the national park here in the east of Flanders, we were able to support this network and to coordinate for a few years. but also thanks to all the people of the team of the International Garden Cities Institute. But the other slide I made was actually to let you know where we are now. As Catherine said, we have been meeting since 2021 with a webinar when we were introduced to all the participants in the UK, in France, Belgium, and some people from Germany at the time also participated. And then we were able to see each other in person in July 2022. And a year later, we were able to organize the webinar on good practices, also hosted by the International Garden Cities Institute and the steering committee. And then the funding ran out, so I wasn't able to keep up with the job, but we are very, very happy that the people of Bassin Minier and of the city of Rennes were able to instigate this new meeting, and they will tell us all about the platform they've been building on. So let's look forward to at least meeting once a year with a larger group and keeping up with all the evolutions that we come across in our work field of garden cities. Today, we're going to talk about the green public spaces. So I'm really excited to hear about all the experiences that our colleagues have in the other countries. So thank you very much, Catherine, for hosting this. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of our experience later on.
Well,
Thank you very much, Gretchen, for this summary. Yes, of course. In fact, we are Catherine Bertram. I'm the managing director of the Mission Bassin Minier, and Raphaël Alessandri, who's an architect working with me in the team. And in fact, for us, we were concerned, as far as we're concerned, Fanny Meilhac and I, we participated to the field trip in Welland and Letchworth. And it was really, really great. And in fact, in the end of this meeting, I hope that we could have some proposals to organize whether a webinar on about another theme you would like to tackle, or to have you field visits to visit some of our examples. As far as we are concerned, you are really warmly welcomed, invited to come, and we could organize some field trips. It's better to see us as human beings, not only on screen, and to share some practices and so on. So it's really open, and I hope that at the end we will keep some minutes to have an exchange about that. So the idea was to in a few minutes to give you some hints at our news about the network, and the floor is yours concerning some evolutions, some big events, something happening for the garden cities, which is really your news in a way. As far as we are concerned, in fact, we thanks to Noémie Morin-Gagné, you all know, who's the director of the Association of Île-de-France Garden Cities in the Paris area, and in fact, Fanny Meilhac and I, we worked with Noémie, and it gave birth to the association of the Nord-Pas-de-Calais Coalfield Garden Cities. The idea is to have a bunch of mayors who are enthusiastic at the idea of communicating together, exchanging practices to renovate their housing estates, coal mining housing estates, and to valorize these heritage. So it was born on September 24th of September, which is really a good for us a good step to federate our mayors around the idea of the garden cities, their garden cities heritage. Because I was struck, and Fanny and I were struck when we were in Welling or in Dulwich, and to have discussions with you, with all of you, that our examples in France, in Nord-Pas-de-Calais, in northern France, were not known at all. So the idea was to develop also some the knowledge of our examples, which is really an objective we share with the Fanny. So for us, the big event for the birth of the association of Nord-Pas-de-Calais Coalfield Garden Cities Association. So the floor is yours to have some ideas about the news we can share about your garden cities in a few minutes, because in 5 minutes we have to begin the presentations. So who wishes to speak? Lead the way, Elsen.
Yes.
Can you tell a few words about? Yeah,
sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lidwe. I work for the Heritage Department of the city of Leuven. It's in Belgium. And I'm here instead of my colleague Dan, who was there before in the network. And I will give a short overview of what we are working with Garden District Terelst. Maybe I share some photos. It will be really short. Can you all see the picture? Yeah. So in Terelst, we are working with a participant project. So with the owners of the houses of the garden district, but also with the inhabitants. And we are looking with them divided in different teams for how we can improve the garden district on subjects as the public space, but also on renovating the houses, but also on connecting everyone who lives in the city, in the garden district. And they are divided in different groups or teams. And there's one team called Streets, Spaces, but also the private gardens, because they are also very important in the garden district. And in the case of that team, we did a workshop with the children who live in the garden district to know what is their perspective on the public space. Therefore, we chose one typical square in the garden district where a lot of children live in the houses around and also uses the square. As you can see on the picture, it's quite sober square with a lot of space for the car. And that's typical for the whole garden district. But we asked the children in summer, but also later in fall, what would you like to be or to do with this typical square, to have an idea on the child's the perspective of a child, and not only for adults who live in the garden or with experts or the government, but also they are also parts of the district, so that we have to know their opinion. And it was really interesting to see what they would like to have on this square. And you would think it's not possible. There are but actually they gave a lot of suggestions that are really interesting for us to look at and to see if it's possible to make a realization of it. I have also other pictures. So this is how it looked now, really clean, and they made a lot of ideas to make it more green, to give it more space for children, for people to come together, so really for the community of the districts, but also to play in the trees, also make space for animals, to make some greenery. So now we are looking in the city government what's possible from administration perspective, and then we will come back to the neighborhoods and look if we can make a realization, maybe little steps, maybe on long-term complete realization for this square, but also for other squares in the garden districts, and maybe for also the roads, so we can have a complete idea what we could do with the public space of this garden district. So it's just a little step we took in a bigger process. Voilà.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's nearly a presentation, but it was too quick to prepare some.
N'entends plus rien. Il est passé.
Ah, c'est eux qui sont plus là. Hein? On était 12.
Oui, je pense qu'il y a eu un problème avec le
Ouais, j'ai l'impression,
compte de
excusez-moi.
Catherine.
Excusez-moi, je pense qu'effectivement, il y a un petit souci.
They're back.
Ok.
Sinon, c'est bon pour Rem, vous nous entendez maintenant?
Ouais,
Très
super.
bien.
Ah, super, trop bien.
So sorry, we were cut. Thank you for the presentation, because it was too short to have a full presentation. But I think that your case study could be, could be a full presentation next time. For instance, I will also welcome our 5 friends from Hampstead Trust. They told us on the chat they don't have a microphone or nor a camera, but there are five friends from the Hampstead Trust participating to our network. So please write messages on the chat or ask questions. No problem. Is there someone? Noémie Morin again is
Yes,
also
hello.
participating. Hello, Noémie. Okay.
Eric from the Garden City of Saint.
Hello. Is there another member of the network who wishes to give some news from the garden cities or something striking or? No, for the moment it's no. For the moment, or Noémie, do you want to? Yes, please.
Just perhaps to say that sure, we will have our association, will have 10 years, so we are organizing a big thing about this anniversary. We are working with artists in all the sites where there are garden cities in our association, so 12 sites and 18 garden cities, and we are also organizing kind of program of conferences about the garden city, and one of it will talk about the network of garden city. So we will have the meeting to organize that this afternoon, but for sure we will talk with you and see how we will include you in this event. That's it.
Yes, we're always ready to celebrate things. No problem. It will be a great birthday, and we will participate to it. No problem, and help you also to organize things and so on. Yeah, and Fanny, you see on the screen, Fanny and Pauline.
Sorry for the delay.
No problem. Now you're on.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, so we are here in Rem. Jean-Paul Mautier and our mayor, Émeric Robin, will join us at the end around 11:30 to present our garden city, the Cité du Pinson, and the renovation, the full renovation, which is on the go. And you can ask questions if you want about what's going on here in Rem at the end of the presentation.
And in fact, I talked about you, of course, and we to present the birth of the association of Pas-de-Calais Coalfield as the network, and also that we had 2 field trips already with Noémie. Once to visit the Cité du Pinson with the association of the Île-de-France Garden Cities Network, and also in Île-de-France with the garden city in Stein and in Suresnes, thanks to Noémie 1 month ago, and it was really lovely to visit these gardens, these examples. So if there's no one else for the moment who wishes to speak, why Gretchen? You disappeared, Gretchen. That's not the moment.
Back, I'm back.
Yes, Gretchen, can you tell in a few words why we chose, in fact, this the theme of this webinar? Because in fact, we asked you, because you had the overview of all the demand, the wishes, or all the trends attention or curiosity of our members. So please take the floor.
So the last few years, we've been focusing on the retrofitting. So with renovations of the heritage buildings of the garden cities, and how to make some progress with new energetic challenges, actually, how to make the houses future proof. So we've been sharing a lot of information also on the field trip 2 years ago. We talked with a lot of architects came and shared their views, and it was very interesting to see the difference between the countries, the progress there was in France and the research. And on the other hand, the way it was managed in Britain and the approach in Belgium, some of the things were the same and some were different. So we were on sometimes on different speed or on different levels, but we all encounter the same challenges. But on the other hand, when we were developing a framework for the built heritage in the garden cities, we also discovered that we shared the same concerns about the green heritage in the garden cities, because that's one of the key characteristics of the garden cities, the connection, the green connection between all the streets and the squares and the public spaces. And then we realized actually these green public spaces are most of the time, if it's not a privately run garden city, as here on the continent, it's most of the time it's the council, the city council or the town council that runs these estates. And we discovered that actually they need a lot of support and inspiration too for the public spaces. So that's how we came to talk about it, that actually to give a good example to the privately owned gardens, it's best to start from the public green public spaces that are owned by the council or owned by a trust, and to give good examples on how to manage green heritage, and then inspire private homeowners or landlords of the buildings in the garden city to manage their own gardens and their own monumental trees or green heritage. So that's how we came to this subject, that actually to enhance the social fabric of a garden city, you really need to invest in the green heritage, the hedges, the squares, but very much also the trees that have been there. Some of them have been there for 100 years now. How do we manage them, and how do we, they are so important for the characteristics of the garden cities. How do we maintain them? So that's how we came to this subject, actually, and how we were inspired to get some of the I will elaborate on this in my own presentation in a little while, but that's actually how we came to this subject, to evolve and to invest in garden cities. You need to enhance the public spaces. That's actually the baseline.
Yes, thank you, Gretchen. In fact, we know that we have tremendous differences among our examples. We were struck with Fanny when we visited, of course, Dulwich estates that some very well-off people could afford some houses in those estates. In our case, it's really mainly 95% social housing.
Yes.
And poor economic and social standards of the people living in the estates. So, if in fact we in the Garden Cities network we welcome our differences among us. So it's really very important to say that. Also to say that a bit of the social utopia of the Garden Cities thesis of the 19th century and so on is still alive, but how we can reconnect it, the social utopia, to the construction of the new neighborhoods, the new population coming and living in our former coal mining housing estate. So it's also a question of green heritage and connected to the building and to the urban heritage. The role of it in the global urban and architecture renovation of the cities. And it's also to know all about all the experiments you lead to be suitable to the specificities of this heritage, but to make it evolve, to make it suitable for today, people of today, and it's really important to also enable inhabitants to be actors in the transformation, as you said, Gretchen, of the living environment, because green spaces, the garden, globally is a part of their living environment, and how we can make it, have them on board with constructing their living environment and participating to it, and share with them also the values of their architecture and urban and landscape environment. Fanny,
yeah,
we wrote those lines together. Do you share it?
Yeah, of course. And we have a big enjeu. I don't know the word in English. Challenge. Yeah. with the inhabitants, because they are not really aware of the exceptional neighborhood they live in. And we would like also to have them participate in the utopia, the new utopia of the garden cities. But for the moment, it's quite difficult to work something so intellectual in a way with them. So we have to find ways. And if you have some tips for us, it's something we are really eager to know. How can you make them participate in the social and in the idea of what could be the garden cities of the future? Because it's something we have some difficulties to do.
Yes, thank you for this, for completing this first. I mean, the global idea of the webinar that Gretchen helped us to define and to propose to you. Of course, this morning you will hear a lot about the Nord-Pas-de-Calais coalfield case study. It's a way to meet and to develop the mutual knowledge of our examples, So we're sorry because we have a lot to talk about us, but it's I mean it's a bridge that we build to build to reach you and to welcome you and to develop new links. So we will focus a lot about our example today. So sorry for that. You're ready to, you are free to leave if you want, but it's of course we have Gretje who will present very interesting presentation about monumental trees, and next time and for the next theme we will of course hear you about your all your examples more fully. Huh? So just one thing, I'm really a poor animator of webinars, much less professional than Gretje, who organized even rooms for former webinars, and we met in rooms and so on and so on. It's less professional, I'm sorry. It's to tell you if for the moment we try to speak our English, French and English, but if you're sorry for, if you don't understand us, if you've got premium Teams link, you can click for the button translated subtitles. So if you don't understand, or if you have got a premium Teams process, you can click and so on. Also, all the meeting is automatically recorded. It's also something where I have to tell you at first. So I will ask my assistant, private assistant, Raphael, my favorite architect also, to begin the presentation. Is it fine? Is it fine for you? It's okay. Click. Mode plein écran. No? Is it fine? Can you see the first page on your screen? Is it okay for you?
No, we see a double of the Teams meeting, so we don't see the presentation yet.
Okay.
It could be that you are working with two different screens, and so he takes only one.
Is it fine?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay?
Yeah. Yes, it's perfect.
It's perfect?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay. Okay. So yes. So in a few, for at least 15 minutes, I will in fact present you the Nord-Pas-de-Calais coalfield and its stakes. So, and after we will have three items, three case studies more articulated to the questions we asked and we tackled later on. And Raphaël Alessandri will be in fact the backbone of the first two case studies, and after we will hear Jean-Paul Moutier and Émeric Robin from the mayor of Rennes for the last examples. Two speakers for also the first case study with you, Gretje. Thank you very much for that. So who are we? Yeah, the Mission Bassamnier, it's a public agency task force for urban regeneration and sustainable development of the former coal mining area in Nord-Pas-de-Calais, France. We were born quite lately in the global retrofitting and regeneration of the coal field, because we were born in nearly 25 years ago now. And our staff is 16 persons, mostly town planners, architects, historians. And something, of course, a big milestone in our life. After 10 years of preparation, we managed to get on the World Heritage List. So 12 years ago. And our budget is mostly public, paid by, in fact, French government authorities and the regional council and the intercity structures, cooperation structures. We've got 7. The Nord-Pas-de-Calais coalfield you see on the screen, of course, it's a worldwide history. And because, in fact, you see it, we are a small segment of this big Variscan basin, that's the term, which stretches around the whole planet from northern China to the Appalachians in the US, from to Ukraine, Kazakhstan, to China and India, and also it's a European history, with Great Britain and of course Europe and the Ruhrgebiet in Germany. We are known as being the largest coal field in Northwest Europe after the Ruhrgebiet in Germany. So for almost 3 centuries, the coal mining activity has profoundly and sustainably profoundly transformed the landscape of Nord-Pas-de-Calais coalfield. Not sustainably, of course, because it's non-sustainable at all, as you see and as you know. And in fact, it left a very, very exceptional and social legacy in the bunch of the heritage. So a few key figures. So small segments, 120 kilometers long. It's like a black banana near Lille, the capital city, Rijssel for our Flanders friends. It's still the 1.1 million inhabitants living here. There were 620 pits which had been sunk in the coal field, and even when I'm in China, Chinese are very struck by the terms of by the figure of 100,000 kilometers of underground galleries that had been dug in our history, and 2 billion tons of coal have been found, and in fact we also, like in the Ruhrgebiet, a pot, because we had 29 nationalities who came and work in the coal field. Everything stopped in 1990 because you see, in France, the decline was scheduled. The decline of the coal mining activity was scheduled within 5-year plans. And in the 60s, that was it. That was the end of coal, because in 1960 the choice of France was to turn to nuclear power. And in fact, in a worldwide and European market of coal and steel after the Second World War, the coal in Nord-Pas-de-Calais coalfield was very expensive, because it was very, very deep. You had to dig very deeply to find it, and it was very, very narrow stretches, narrow veins of coal. So it used it needed many people to work and find coal. So it was a problem. So it was a mono industry in our case, not like in in the Ruhrgebiet, where you can find a mixture of industries It was really a fully mono industry with very few steel industry in the eastern part of in the coal field. So in the First World War, mostly the central part of the coal field was totally destroyed, and only 3 houses were up after the First World War. The Second World War was less destructive, but it was a very hard regime. And also something very striking was the 1906 Courier mining disaster. 1,099 victims. And it's something which was also in our criteria for the UNESCO, for the World Heritage, criteria 6, for the big dates of big milestones in the history of mankind. The Courrières mining disaster was one of them. So everything stopped in 1990. But the decline, as I said, of the coal field and the coal exploitation started in the late 50s. So, in fact, it's just to give you a glimpse at the huge properties of the National Coal Mining Company, because there was a nationalization of coal mining in 1946. So it was a very big empire called the National Coal Mining Company. So in 1969, which was really the peak of the activity, you see all was what that was connected to the heritage, in terms of collieries, infrastructure connected to collieries, 600 kilometers of railway tracks, for instance, but also what was connected also to the life of the miners. And at the time, we had 120,000 housing estates. Of course, in the bunch, you had also wooden temporary houses built after the Second World War to, in fact, have to welcome the families at the time. So now we've got around 70,000 housing estates still up. All the facilities connected to the life of miners and their families, with the social education, and of course church and hospitals, healthcare facilities, also sport, of course education. Everything was organized around the life of miners, because there was a big competition between the private companies, coal mining companies, before the nationalization, to keep the workers in the companies, because there was a lack of workers long for the time. And that's why the first miners were Belgian, from Charleroi, were peasants. And after, we had to make many people coming from everywhere in Europe and in the world to come and work. And the idea was to, of course, to keep miners, and to keep miners, you have to offer a home, a garden, and some facilities around to keep them and work in the companies. Of course, the progressive closure of coal field and coal mining collieries organized a very progressive split of property. Of course, the mostly valuable fields, buildings were sold, but after the appearance of a huge stock of brownfields, and the idea was to cure and to retrofit all these to all these buildings and brownfield. Of course, with a human shock, because we had the loss of at least 220,000 of jobs, which were lost during this 30 or 40 years of global regeneration. Of course, some jobs were created, and many thanks to the reconversion, and that's in fact the French state, which really settled many, in fact, industries to replace the lost jobs. That's why we still have a car industry, a chemistry industry, still or plastic industry still alive in the coal field, because it was to replace all the jobs lost by the coal field activity. The pity is that the jobs that were created did not benefit to local inhabitants mostly. And we have really still in many areas of the coal field very high rates of unemployment, which cohabits with the high rates of creation of jobs, because the jobs are not sometimes, in many cases, benefiting to the local inhabitants. People from outside come and get the jobs that are created, and not the local ones. That's one of the problem. This slide show you in one slide the tremendous efforts of what we had to do to cure the massive scars of the closure of mining pits. It's really from the 70s that, in fact, the roads and grids in minor housing estates began to be treated, because in fact also all these houses have to be treated and to be restored, but to be treated mostly, and also all the chain of public policies necessary for the regeneration of brownfields, massive brownfield. So still today, we've got a big policy called the Commitment for the Renewal of the Mining Basin, signed in March 2017 by the Prime Minister of the time, in fact, to involve the state and local communities. And still 100 million euros first were initially scheduled for the duration of the program for energy rehabilitation. So the idea is to treat 31,000 energy intensive homes over 10 years. So twice the rhythm of a planned normal renovation, which is really a tremendous effort to renovate. And we will talk about it more further on. So we've got a very poor problem of change of image. It is a bit changing, but it's quite provocative, of course, we chose, black and white, very dirty, with rain, pouring with rain photos, with a more, gorgeous and with a blue sky photos for the idea of the result today. It's the game. But the idea is to search for new economic models coming from the first and the second industrial revolutions to the third revolution, which is really turned to renewable energies in internet technologies. It's a very big regional plan, which was focused on the coal field, and it's called REV 3. So of course, the 40-year regeneration policies enabled our efforts to we accomplished to be on the World Heritage List. So this map in red, you can find what's on the lists, World Heritage List. We are classified as a living and evolving cultural landscape, which really was something fitting to our stakes. It's a cultural property. In fact, it's the symbiosis between nature and the work of man. And it's also a very symbolic place for the workers' condition and the solidarity. You know that industry is a page of the history of mankind. And in fact, within the family of industry, you can find also coal mining industry. We are still a very, very, very tiny category in the listed properties around the world. There are now more than 1,000 on the list, but it's a very, very little category where you can find, in fact, industrial heritage and mining heritage. In red, you got the listed perimeter, but what's really important is the orange one, which is the buffer zone. And in our case, the buffer zone is really important because it gives you also the explanation also of what we chose in the perimeter. It's really a landscape explanation also, and the very holistic conception of our property. It's really holistic, and you can see in the 353 elements the variety of components, and among that you can find 124 miners housing estates, which is quite enormous. Nearly 90 municipalities, local communities are involved in the perimeter, and it's more than nearly 4,000 hectares of landscapes. So it's really, really important. So if you got the little circle in the map, it shows you the what we called a mining exceptional micro landscape. So it gives you the very holistic conception of our evolving living cultural landscape as a whole, because you've got also the big colliery, the Fosse 99 bis. We are in this office, so you can visit us. You see the colliery. We are talking from one of the restored places in the colliery. You've got garden cities or cities, housing estates. We've got also spool heaps. We've got some town facilities inside of it, and a church and so on. So it gives you the bunch of elements of our micro landscape. At the time, we defined 15 exceptional landscapes in the big landscape. So coal mine housing estate is really the backbone of our World Heritage Perimeter and buffer zone. So within the World Heritage Perimeter, I told you it was that we could find 124 housing estates, but it was Raphaël Alessandri and I and two or three of us of the team, we made a gigantic rehearsal of the 563 still existing house estate to select 124 housing estates among them. And in fact, the idea is not to build a kind of wall between what are the listed 124 housing estates and the non-listed housing estates. The idea, of course, is to experiment, to disseminate, and of course, we are not closed in a closing view of housing estate. Of course not. It's the idea. You see, we belong to the big family of garden cities, and our 553 housing estates belong to this universal and exceptional value. That's why we were obliged, we were bound to select 124 among them. But it's an open book on 150 years of the history of employers' housing, and the evolution is still in progress. But you know, it's a part of it's a third page of our book, of the big book of the history of employers' housing and their evolution, of course. So you've got an habitat which adapted to the urban social and architectural trends of the 19th and 20th centuries. You can see, of course, major milestones of it, from Ebenezer Howard, it's very difficult to pronounce, to the Charte d'Athènes, to the Athens chart today. Of course, you can see also the impact of all the world fairs at the time. There were no, the TikTok was not invented, but we had the big world fairs, and in 1911 in Roubaix, very close to Lille, you had this world fair, and all the models of houses, engineers, shapes were really disseminated during those world fairs. So it's really an important impact of the world fairs for the dissemination. And you know, so that the view of the first page of the Coron, the terraced rows of miners' houses, it's a British man, a British expert, which translated the word Coron, which was not very easy. But after we have got the housing estates, the semi-detached houses, and the garden cities, of course, and the Cité du Pinson, which will be the third case study today. But you see, the Cité of Jardin of Bruno, and Raphaël will talk about that, about this case study. The Cité Jardin, which is the second one on the right, was born in 1904, and it was only 2 years after the Howard's garden cities. So it shows you that within 2 years, the dissemination of the garden city shape came on the continent, and the Cité Jardin Bruno now is known as the first continental garden cities. So it's a really important one. So in fact, it's the definition of a city, of the garden city, is quite problematic sometimes, because it's adapted to also our in France it has common features, but also it adapted to the local and to the continental trends and also ideas. Because some common things, it's the introduction of health and social facilities inside of the garden cities. But in fact, sometimes we keep a kind of porosity. We don't build walls between the semi-detached housing estates sometimes and the garden cities also. So it's something quite flexible, and we don't, have a very closed and very rigid idea of the garden cities in the Coalfield. So that's the idea of a magnificent Cité de la Clochette with the inside of it. So we've got some style. The Anzin, it's a Valenciennois eastern part of the Coalfield, the Anzin mining company style, the Lens mining company style, for instance, with all the detail and so on. The Liévin mining company style, for instance, also. And the last page of our book, it's apartment blocks, which was at the time a revolutionary process in terms of construction of apartment blocks. So the rehearsal of all those the cities housing estates during a few 5 or 6 years on what we had to prepare for the management plan and the nomination bid for the UNESCO, for the World Heritage competition, was identify, qualify, and rank all our housing estates throughout the territory. And in fact, we had to define all the internal values among the housing estates, but also the valeur d'ensemble. It means the landscape values of those housing estates. So we had to draw up a criteria grid, and very it took months to select them. And it was really an important way to share the rehearsal and the result of it, and to share the criteria to select the 124 mining cities. Also, we need also to have the agreement of landlords, the agreements of owners, the agreements of mayors, saying we agree the choice is ours, and we sign for it. So that's why also we didn't select some of the housing state for this reason. When the mayors at the time said, no, I don't want anything about the UNESCO or World Heritage on my territory. So we decided not to select them. And now new mayors say, well, we would like to be on the UNESCO, in the World Heritage list, and that's not possible for anymore. So it's also a very important thing. The idea also is to say that mostly beyond the 124 UNESCO housing estates, we also classified more than that exceptional showcase estates or other a classification which also is possible to use for non-UNESCO cities. So the choice of our World Heritage listed housing estates really reflects diversity of architecture and urban shapes, and also the types of housing groups, of annexes, of the position of houses in relation with streets, road shapes, and also types of fences. To end up with my presentation, how to manage all that. Of course, we had to produce a World Heritage Management Plan, which is really a holistic approach. And we work with the state services, departments, the local communities, the region, and so on, the landlords, which possess still 90% of all coal mining housing estates in our territory. But it's so really to have to maintain quality and also holistic approach to combine preservation of integrity and authenticity, but also the evolution and the redevelopment and the retrofitting possible. And it's the cross view of legal and regulatory procedures to protect and preserve, to manage heritage sites, but also to make them evolve concerning actions with complementary and strategic fields, and also to have the idea to have landlords, owners, inhabitants on board, and to sign really the agreement to what we do step by step. So it's very important. I don't have the time to develop this, but the idea of what we do on the trajectory of 20 years of renovation and retrofitting of housing estates. And Raphael will talk about that. On this trajectory, 20-year trajectory, it's really to continue the evolution of the retrofitting of the territory, of the regeneration of the territory. So to preserve, to manage, and to plan and to manage is the first pillar of our management plan. And also the, of course, the legal protection through historic monuments, but also through planning. The right, the planning documents is really important, and also to promote, valorize, and transmit the sense for for generations and next generation. It's really important to raise public awareness and also to transmit, to have them share what we do and what they do. It's really important to do that. So I will stop my presentation with our garden cities today, and the little logo and the joy we have and we share to build up this network of the garden cities of the Coalfield today. That's the end of it. And now, Raphael, I think you have to share your first presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Catherine.
So the 3 case studies. Can you see it? Can you see the first page?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So
I can see it.
Marie, I'm very pleased to meet you for the first time. So the World Heritage Mining Basins includes around 30,000 mining dwellings, 90% of which are owned by 2 social landlords. Recognized today as an exceptional architectural and urban heritage, they are nonetheless a social housing stock that faces major challenges. Some of the dwellings do not meet current social housing standards and are occupied by residents who are often very vulnerable with very low incomes. Some housing estates suffer from a lack of attractiveness that could eventually lead to partial demolition. In 2010, the Mission Bassin Minier discovered that the landlord's strategy plan included major demolitions in 5 mining cities, despite their exceptional heritage value and great potential in terms of conversion and attractiveness. This was the starting point for an experimental project that we initiated and managed for almost 10 years. We could call it World Heritage Pilot Mining Cities. I don't know how to translate it, but it was experience with some mining estates. 5 housing estates that were initially due to be demolished eventually became demonstration sites. I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the 2 of these examples. More complete information is available on our website, but of course it will be better to come and see and have a look, as it will be a pleasure to welcome you in the Bassin Minier. Here you can see the 2 mining estates, Sainte-Marie and Le May. The neighborhood is made up of 2 estates comprising around 400 dwellings. In 2010, as the French state was preparing to submit the Mining Basin Heritage Project to the World Heritage Committee, a demolition project was planned for a part of the Le May estates, which risked questioning the credibility of the UNESCO application. On the other hand, For the Sainte-Marie estate, a classic renovation project was planned, even though we had identified a series of problems that a minimal approach will not be able to tackle, like thermal problems with habitability, tiny habitability, tiny houses, urban fracture, and so on. The project of the landlords has been challenged by the local residents during a public meeting organized by the mayor committed to the project. At least the president of the Nord-Pas-de-Calais region canceled the planned demolition and asked us to develop a credible alternative. In the aim of finding solutions that will satisfy all the involved parties and allow to do more than simply bring the housing up to current technical standards, a global review was set up implicating a multidisciplinary team, architects, landscapes architects, sociologists, ecologists, thermal engineers, but also an economist specialized in financing of social housing. Thematic workshops were organized with the residents to better understand their wishes for the renovation of their homes and estates. For example, how they use the gardens, the place for the car, public communal space, facilities. Thanks to this workshop, we also evoked with the inhabitants the collective memory and history of the neighborhood. In this photo, you can see examples for the dwellings and public spaces before and after the work. Eventually, instead of demolition project, the houses have been renovated, taking account architectural, technical, environmental, social, and of course, financial stack or issues, I don't know. Stakes. New squares have been created, community gardens have been laid out, streets have been turned into public gardens, and cycle paths have been created, linking the estate to other districts and to a leisure center. This is the example of the garden city Bruno Catherine talked about a few minutes ago. The renovation of this city, the Bruno Garden City in Dourges, was also part of this heritage rescue program. The Bruno Housing Estates is the first garden city built in France between 1904 and 1909. On this old photo, you can see the diversity and the richness of the architecture and decors. On the foreground of the aerial photo, you can see the Polish church with the priest house. And at the foreground, you can see perhaps a school. And there is also a pub we call an estaminet. And you can see it, but at the right of the aerial photo, there is also a festival hall. And the rest of the garden city is occupied by around 190 dwellings. In 2010, the landlords was about to demolish few houses and nothing was planned for the public spaces. After our discussions and the involvement of the mayor, the president of the region, and the Mission Bassin Minier, the project has been completely modified. Eventually, the project consisted of restructuring the housing originally earmarked for demolition, restoring the original facades, and upgrading the surrounding and all the public spaces and the fences of the house. The project is also exemplary in its environmental performance because all the rainwater is infiltrated into gardens and public spaces without being discharged into the sewage system. The solutions help to protect water resource by supplying water to the water courses instead of saturating the sewage system. On the other hand, the choice has greatly increased the presence of plants and biodiversity in the city. The PVC pipes have been replaced by green spaces that serve to infiltrate all the rainwater. You can see on the photo, the dwellings that were due to be demolished have finally been significantly restructured with a more appropriate typology, the demolition of parasitic volumes, and the opening up of the south-facing garden. The project has made it possible to rethink all the public spaces, taking account the built and the plant heritage. And also there was a huge amount of color research to restore the original facade. Today, the renovation of the 5 pilot mining city is complete. This project has made it possible to find alternative solutions to demolition, while also proposing ambitious redevelopment of public spaces. They have made it possible to go beyond mere technical upgrading. In addition to these prototypes, the pilot mining cities approach is now being used as a benchmark for the national project commitment for renewal of the mining basin, which plans to renovate 30,000 homes over 10 years. Since then, other projects have seen the light of day, retaining and something even surpassing the original ambition. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphaël. Yes, in fact, really, if you remember the slide showing you all the process, the retrofitting process from the 1970s to today, you see how much the idea was really for years and years. Just the idea of reaching the norms, the technical norms of comfort, of heat, and so in terms of grids, in terms of roads, in terms of the buildings. And the idea to have a really coming from the upgraded approach to something more to more quality, and also to a view of an integrated retrofitting approach is really something quite recent. And in fact, really, Raphaël started it with these 5 pilot mining housing estates, which really launched a new track, a new public policy, which is called the Commitment for the Renewal of the Coal Field, a program signed by the French government and all the regional and local communities authorities. So it's something tremendous, and the rate is really to renovate 31,000 housing estates within 10 years, which is twice the rhythm of the normal rhythm, which shows you the tremendous effort, public effort, which is still in progress today. Voila. So maybe so it was a full view and two very interesting examples to illustrate the first theme we selected with Gretchen. And Gretchen, if you agree, you could now give another view about the monumental trees, if you want.
Yes. Okay. Do I share my own presentation? I've got it open. Maybe it's more practical. Yes. Okay. Oh. No. Sorry, I have to turn it back. Try it again. And what I did now. Okay. Maybe you see too much, or do you see the?
I can see the first slide. It's,
Only the first slide,
action.
or also the small slides on between? No? Okay. Okay.
No, just page 1 of 32.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we are a non-governmental organization, and we are all over Flanders in different entities to support local councils. And we also are the cradle for a few national parks or regional parks. So that's just the context from which I am talking. And the garden city of Waterschei, of the city of Genk, also a coal mining area, is part of the national park. So for us, it was really interesting to advise the local government on how to deal with their monumental trees. So we are like a neutral partner, and we've been developing an action plan for the local council. So that's the context from which I will start this presentation. And this is very much an issue that concerned all the people who live there, a little bit like in France. Most of the people, the neighborhood analysis of 2020, most of the people who live there are private owners. Some of the houses are still social housing, but also the private owners are not on the highest part of the social ladder. So most of them are still laborers or people who have middle class wages or below. So that's just to give you an idea of the people who live there. It's a mixed multicultural environment. So the monumental trees are not always accepted the way we would look at them as monumental heritage trees. So that's just to give you a context. The city council asked us for advice because there was a great controversy on those monumental trees in the neighborhood. This is a plan of the Garden City in 2020, where we defined where all the trees were and all the problems that concerned them. As you can see, the green dots are all sycamore trees. In Dutch or in Flemish, we call them platanen. You will see some pictures in a minute. But most of them were there since the start of the Garden City. So that's 1912 to 1923. It was developed. So they were there for 100 years. And they caused some problems. They caused a lot of extra bonuses as well, but people were against them or very much in favor of them. So the city council was torn between two groups, where a lot of the inhabitants wanted to get rid of them because they have a lot of leaves in the autumn. You know, all the complaints that can go with these big trees in the lanes. And on the other hand, they also enjoyed having those big trees. So you had two groups and some people who were neutral in the middle. But we did a large study on these trees and how to handle them for the future. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about. So we are talking about 600 monumental trees that were planted all over the Garden City. This is another picture. You don't see a lot of difference, and that's because we had to determine the age of the trees. Obviously, they were all about the same age, but also the way they were affected. And actually, you don't see a lot of red on the map. That's because almost none of the trees were affected and in a bad state. So we could not just say, oh, let's get rid of the trees. Most of them were still very healthy. So then we went to an analysis of the vitality of the avenue trees, and out of the 591 trees, 90% were expected to live over 15 or more years for the future. So we decided to tell the people and also the local council that actually they are the green lung of this garden city, and almost none of them were affected by a disease. So that's what we told them. Actually, they are still perfectly healthy. There is no reason to get rid of the trees or to replace them just without any reason. So then we had an analysis based on the place where they stood. So if they were close to the houses, they got a red dot. Within 10 meters of the house, they could affect the sewage or they could affect the foundations of the buildings. So we did try to put that on the map as well. And you can see then you have a lot of red dots because obviously when they were planted there 100 years ago, they were small trees, and now they were big trees that really came very close to the houses, and that could lead to some troubles in the future. So we tried to get a neutral picture of the danger they could bring with them, because a lot of the people said, oh, they can fall anytime, but actually we had them technically revised, and none of the trees were very dangerous or very unstable. Actually, they were very firmly planted and the roots were okay. This is the estate, and you can see that some of the trees really came very close to the houses, but they also gave a really nice view. When you drove through the garden city, these were really the green witnesses of a very, well, of the past and of the future. So we said, actually, we will tell you if you live near a tree, if it's a risk to live there, and if we can reduce the risk of calamity, then obviously we will do it. But we went to it very thoroughly. So we continued our study, and we said, okay, at some point, these trees will have to be replaced, but it can still be 60 years in the future before they need to be replaced. So we tried to go about it on a modest structure, or how do you say it, modestly, so not too brusque. We didn't want to force one vision onto the neighborhood. So you can see the red part on the left-hand side on the top, on the left-hand top. There we had a lot of complaints, and the 3 lanes at the central southern part, they had complaints as well. But the green bit, the green circle, there were no complaints or not a lot of complaints. So we tried to focus on those parts of the neighborhood where the complaints were the highest. And that was because the trees there had been candelabred, we say. They had been cut too much. And so they were not nice to look at and sometimes more affected. So we tried to bring this back to the public and tell them about it. Sorry, I have to take a mint because my throat is not well. Okay. So with this neighborhood analysis, we walked through the neighborhood. We had a good talk with everyone. And usually it was the rain or the water that was not well diverted when you had heavy downpours. or it was the leaves. But we try to talk to the people and tell them, actually, we can build on the way the trees are now for the future, and we want to maintain the rhythm, the uniformity, the size of the avenue, and the trees were actually still very much part of the story of the garden city. So we try to convince them that actually only the practicalities is not enough, or the practical objections are not enough to get rid of the trees altogether. We try to point out the grasslands on the roadsides, the squares, the public character of the grasslands, and how nice it is when the trees are on the border of those squares, but also the side access, the way you look into the avenues. In big cities, people pay a lot of money to live like this, and in a social housing estate, it's really difficult to get this message across. So we try to point out some of the eye catchers of the garden city to the people who live there and who didn't really see the beauty of it anymore. So apart from that, we also did a climate analysis, because when we were doing this study 4 years ago, we had 2 or 3 very hot summers in a row. And we tried to point out to the people that actually these avenues are also the green lungs of your estate. And they give us the purification of the air, but we also did some testings on the town square in Genk, in the city of Genk. It's really all concrete and buildings. There was 7 degrees Celsius difference between the town square in the concrete area or the cooling effect of the garden city with the big trees. So that was also a very important marker for us to tell the local people who live there, actually you have some air-conditioned circumstances that people pay a lot of money for, and you have them straight away because the trees are taking care of that. So yes, that's what we did with the climate analysis, and it was remarkable that every time we had a heat wave, people did change their attitude. But every time autumn came and hundreds of leaves were in the gardens, people changed again and said it's a nuisance to have those trees. So we could not build on only this conviction for us. We had to try and convince the people more thoroughly. So we worked to a few principles that we then afterwards could also use in the other garden cities, because on the border of the national park and on the border of our area where we work, there are still 4 more garden cities. So we also wanted to take this through to the other local councils. So the first principle, obviously, to get everyone on board is safety first. We did know that if a tree is causing any danger, then it's important to look at how to solve it. The second was the preservation of the avenue structure. So we really did want to make sure that we kept the view and that we kept the spirit of the place by maintaining as much trees as possible. Then another part of the principle was selecting the places where trees can grow old. So if the tree is not a danger, but if it's already regressing, as it is in the veteran stage, we wanted to make sure that trees got the room and the possibility also in a garden city to grow old as they would in a forest. Then we said to make sure that everyone was on board, we will make up a plan for the next 50 or 60 years that we do recognize that trees will have to be replaced once, but not all together, and not so we had to work in segments. And then we also decided on using a sycamore tree again, or a similar large tree, but we have to take into account that if you plant very large forest trees, that they will in time already give some extra problems, because they are not always suitable to grow very near the houses, too near the houses. But what we really wanted to avoid in all circumstances was a clear cut. So we didn't want one estate to be completely, like a war zone. When you take out all of the trees at once, you really mess up the view, and you mess up the whole character of the garden city. So in all plans, whatever we were going to advise the local council, we would advise them to avoid a clear cut. So the concept actually is very simple. We have two zones in the garden city: the hinge space, which you could also call a portal space between the space where people live and the space where people have green public space to enjoy. It connects the zones of public and private, and that's where we leave the veteran trees to grow old, to become a bit needy, to become a bit more wild, you could say, where there is no need to take them away because there is no danger, but we can sustain those old trees as long as they are vital enough to live there. On the other hand, the other zones would be the avenues where the houses are and where we face a rejuvenation. Actually, what we want to say is, okay, we have to replace them. We have to make it younger again, but only when it's precautional. So when we know that actually in time, these trees will have to be cut because they become too dangerous or not vital enough anymore, but we will face this so it won't be too abrupt. So this is how we developed it. Actually, all the green blobs you see, or the green big zones, are the hinges or the portal zones where you have public space and you can have the trees to become as old as possible. The other ones with the little dots is where the houses are and where the trees will be replaced in time, based on some really clear criteria. So the hinge spaces or the portal spaces are public spaces. That's where the central parks are, where we use the sustainability principle, and they are less dangerous. The trees are allowed to grow into veteran trees, as I said, and so you can have a monumental park tree that can stand there for 200 years. I will show you some pictures in a minute. And we observe them individually, but they can be their own personalities, and they really determine a bit of the sense of place of the garden city. So also they will remain in the historic axis, and there we can also install some water infiltration areas to make sure that water will not be a problem in the public spaces. If possible, we keep the principle of 50% of the sycamore trees. So this is what they could look like in a public space. These are international examples from France and the Netherlands, but this is where you can leave the trees to become or to stay the personalities who they are, and as long as they don't interfere too much with the public service, like the sewage or the streets or the pavements, then we just leave them be, and we don't interfere. And the same here is a tree, a veteran tree that's really, really old and that's becoming a bit smaller again. But it's also very nice to have some a play area there for the children. And so that's what we advise the local council to do, leave those trees and prepare something for the children to enjoy or people to sit on a bench. But for the avenue segments, the residential streets, there we have to be precautionary. So they need to be rejuvenated, as I said, and they need to be treated and observed in groups. So each time we do some replacements, we really have to look at the group of the sycamore trees, and we try to also use the moments to replace them to repair the avenue, because usually they have affected the pavements and the underground. So this is a picture from Aix-en-Provence in France, where you can see that it's really nice to have the trees nearby, but also it needs good maintenance. But we had that to inspire us. So what we said, if we were going to replace them, rejuvenate the section, then we would look at the vitality, we would look at the complaints of the people. Are they really, really high in one street? Then that street needs to be taken care of. We look at the proximity of the houses, the opportunities for improvement, and we look at the overall design. So if we did this for 600 trees, we still had only 2 streets in the whole garden city where we needed to intervene at the time. So that was actually good news. The other streets were not to be intervened just yet. So we told the local council, you don't have to go for a big plan, just do the small plans and then build up every 5 or 6 years. So with the same multi-criteria analysis, we came to this, where only the top left part, where the most of the complaints were, was the first part to be taken care of. All the rest of the garden city, you could just leave for another 5, 10, or 15 years. So only that little part was for the first 5 years. And then the rest of the complaints would come, and then this is how it would build up. But actually, very interestingly, if we put it in a time frame, it would actually take us on right up to 2054 before all the trees were replaced, the trees that could pose difficulties. So that's how we presented it to the council. And again, vitality, climate, uniqueness, and the gaps in the knowledge are things you have to take into account for the long term. So not short-term solutions from just a few people who complain, but think about it in the long term and try to exchange knowledge. That's what we're doing now, but that's what we also advise the council. Don't make any decisions for just this small part of the city. Try to think in a broader perspective and try to look at the trees from a different perspective. They are also the witnesses of the past. So some more extra advice we gave was the generic approach. So we had the city council to promise us that they would monitor and combat the illnesses if there are any, but also the leaf litter management and the water management needs to be taken care of. If you want to have a broad public support to keep the trees, then you will have to do something with the practicalities that people do not have water in their cellars anymore or the basements. So we also advised to take care of those practical problems, but also to do some good communication and support, to make some announcements, public announcements, why the trees are so important, but also why you replace them. so we also support the council to do this, to bring this to the public, to the general public. And what really works for us, that's something they started with in Holland as well, and it really works for us too, is we make a small identity label for every tree, what they can be for the public, how they can be useful, but also the name of the tree, what kind of tree it is, how big it is, how long. It's really interesting to give an identity to the trees and to leave that there for a longer period of time so people can read it. And then, of course, the biodiversity, the species. In this case, it was the bat, and how they live and how they are important in the buildings, but also in the monumental garden city. So that's something we also use when we want to communicate with the public. And the last bit I want to share with you is also the use of those trees in the private spaces. So as I said in the introduction at the beginning of this webinar, if you want to involve your public in their own private gardens, then they need to be shown a good example in the public spaces on how to deal with these trees and how to deal with the gardens. So that was a small presentation on how we dealt with and how we will in the future still advise local councils on how to deal with monumental trees in the garden cities. Thank you for your attention. Here we go.
Thank you very much, Gretje.
You're welcome.
We have got a few minutes for some comments or questions you would like to ask. It was very two complementary presentations that we make. Does it ring a bell concerning the theme, which was how to reconcile? No, so that's the second one. I have taken the exact terms of the first case study. It was how to take environmental and heritage dimensions into account in the management and transformation of public spaces. So the theme is very wide. So is there anyone who would like to comment or add something? Or further example that you would like to present in another webinar or other event?
Yeah.
Dirk, Lambert, Kathleen, Nadine, lead the way. I know you're here.
I have a question for you, Gretje.
Yes.
And thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. And in the north of France, in the Bassin Minier, we have very huge problem with the way the community take care about the green area. And often we noticed that they don't even know how to manage and to maintenance, especially the old trees. And we had big problem with that because for many years they did not have the right way to get the maintenance, and sometimes the trees are disease. And I thought about it's. Do you think it's very important to have a special formation or I don't know, education, training?
Yes.
And is it a part of your work?
Yes. So what even us, we are a nature conservation and recreation organization, but actually we also needed expert advice. So to build on this plan, this action plan, we also consulted some really tree experts to go through the area with us and to tell us a lot about it. So we had to learn on the spot. We got some training. My colleagues who are already experts on nature. They got training on monumental trees, and actually it was really worth doing it. And then building up on your own expertise, and obviously taking into account the heritage component that is usually not part of the experts who are talking about just the tree. We also talked about the context, which is really important if you make decisions on keeping the trees for as long as possible. It's important to get the context right. So to bring together all the knowledge, we really had to convince the local council to put money into the expertise. And we were very fortunate that they did so. So they invested money in us and in the experts and bringing it all together. And then bringing it together with communication experts. So you had on one hand the technical experts, and on the other hand the communication experts to bring together to build on a wide platform for the people who live there to get the right knowledge and to get obviously not all the expert knowledge, but the overview of what was of all of the possibilities. So yes, we were fortunate that the local council was able to invest or thought this was a top priority, because there were so many strange stories about monumental trees and how they can be really dangerous. And so to make sure that you have a really good base to start from, you need experts. That's actually the basis. Yeah.
True.
Dirk would like to add something. Please, Dirk.
Yeah, a small question. If you look into the species of the trees, they are all the same, or is there, because sometimes they say you need a mix as well if there comes some diseases or something that not a whole lane is going to die. But did you take this in account as well to replace?
Yes, with the replacements, we said that in the public spaces, we wouldn't go for 100% of the same trees. We would go for a 50-50. So 50% sycamore trees, the platane, and 50% of a mixed monumental trees or mixed trees. But in the avenues, we decided to keep as many platane as possible, just because actually they are really climate savvy, or how do you say it, climate secure. So if you handle the oaks or other trees that are native here to our country, some of them will not be, lindis bijvoorbeeld, are not very stable for climate change. So we now make decisions, platane, sycamore trees you see in the south of Europe everywhere, they're very interesting because they will be very good for climate change. Well, good, you know, they will survive climate change.
Yeah, because here in Beringen we are thinking more to there were as well a lot of different trees in the garden cities in the original design, but we don't want one complete street with the same trees, but more like by segment of streets, some mix to avoid problems if there is one disease in the tree.
But yeah, with diseases, with the sycamore trees, there were only 6 out of 600 trees that were ill. So that wasn't a big issue.
Thank you.
Liedewij?
Yes, I have a question in the context of that. In the garden districts in Leuven, we know from studying the archives, we know that the plants originally in the garden cities, and some of them are still there, are the typical green the evergreens from the 50s. Like, I don't know the names in English, but those are not the trees we would like to see today in the streets because of biodiversity and climate change. So for us, it's not easy if people want to make their garden greener, or we decide to make the public space greener. What sort of plans would we choose? Would you go back to the 50s? I don't think so, but what is fit for the authentically character of the garden district? So that's a bit of a dilemma that we have.
Yeah. Actually, we found that it's always interesting to try and engage a few parties, like the regional landscape in ons geval, de regionale landschappen. But also, even if they give some advice, we also had some advice from the tree specialists who came to look at the health of the trees. Because actually in 10 years' time, like 10 years ago and now, they really changed their approach on climate change and on which trees to use and which not. A lot of the insights have been changed, and we now know we need to find a consensus. It's not always straightforward going back to the past and saying this is a heritage tree. You can also plant heritage trees of the future, and sometimes they are a different kind of tree than they used to be. But that's also, heritage is organic. Heritage is always in transition. So we always try to find the best consensus, but sometimes being rigid and sticking to the old story is not always a solution. So yes, it's interesting to involve some partners and then go for the more feasible outcome.
Yeah, so maybe it's more important than it is green and more green than the original green.
Yes, yes. Even the greenest of my colleagues who are very, who've been in our organization for 20 or 30 years, they have now changed their opinion, because sometimes it's not feasible to work with trees who will not survive in an urban context anymore. Simple as that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lieve. Another comment or further example? No, for the moment? Okay. So we will keep up the rhythm. I have to ask Fanny if the mayor of Rem, Emeric, is available now, or shall we tackle the case study number 2 with Raphaël? Can you tell me, my dear friend Fanny?
Fanny est partie voir si Emeric elle arrive.
D'accord. So within 1 minute we will know if Emeric Robin, the mayor of Rem, is available or not at the in 1 minute. I would just say say that I got a very nice mail from Beth Ambrose, who now is the head of the sustainability department in the Dulwich estate, and she sent a nice message about her interest in the recorded version of our webinar this morning. So maybe it will be a material for further exchanges and practices. So it's really nice to hear from our friends from the Dulwich estate. So Ville de Rem, my friends.
Yes, yeah, the mayor is not here.
Okay.
He had to go, so sorry for that, but he had something urgent with the Porte du Hainaut.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but Jean-Paul is online if you want. Maybe he can make the presentation now. Raphaël, it's you first. How long will it take for you, Raphaël, you think?
Oh, it will be 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yes.
So I
think
think Jean-Paul is able will
That's-
be available within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay,
Raphaël?
so Raphaël first and after
Yeah.
Jean-Paul. Okay.
Yeah, as you wish.
Vas-y.
Can you see it? Okay.
Is it fine for you? Pourquoi on n'entend pas? Ah, le micro. On va peut-être pas.
Yes.
Le micro,
Can you
si.
hear us?
Yes, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Ok, ok.
Le partage.
Alors,
Okay. Still okay for you?
yes.
Okay.
So the second theme, our second case study will be around how can we reconcile the individual expectations of residents with the requirements of protection and validation of heritage. So Raphaël Alessandri will take the floor about some examples we developed to promote these practices.
Okay. I will present you quickly an experimentation we have actually with young people and students in architecture in the Bassin-Minier. For the past 3 years, we have been organizing workshops with young people living in garden cities to give them the opportunity to get involved in the renovation of their neighborhood. We are helped in this by the TEPOP Association. We can translate in
By people energy.
people,
People.
popular energy territories.
Popular, that means famous in French.
Okay.
So people
people
energy territories.
People energy territories. This association was originally set up to involve young people from the inner suburbs in the Grand Paris project, an ambitious program of urban development. The method is still the same because it has proved its worth. The first step is to identify and involve the local workforce. First and foremost, the people who look after the young people in these neighborhoods, like social center, leisure centers, etc. Then we mobilize young students for architecture and landscape schools who will co-design the project with the young people. The workshop takes place over 4 days. The young people and the students work together, some bringing their knowledge of the area and their expectations, while the other contribute with their own know-how. They show the young people how to make models, drawings, how to present the project, how to take into account the technical and aesthetic aspects so that the proposals are realistic. Finally, the young people themselves present their project to the municipality, the council, and to potential future funders directly on the site. We are delighted that the proposals made by the young people at the first 2 TEPOP workshops will now be incorporated into the renovation project for 2 garden cities in the communes of Arnes and Saint-Goël. And we are currently working with the Somain Social Center to organize a 3rd workshop before the end of the year.
How do you start students in architecture? How long do they stay in those local communities?
Every year we organize workshop with students in master, and they spend 1 semester in the estates. But for this project, they stay 4 days. It's very quick. The idea is to be very quick with the young people because they have to It's we can't deal a long time with us, and so the concept is to be very efficient in the 4 days, and the result is interesting.
And how do you contact young inhabitants to find a group of young people who would be interested in such a project? How do you connect them?
We work with the community council, the mayor, and all the staff who take care of the young people, the social center, leisure center, and so on. So we need, it's important, we need people in the city who know the young people, and without them we can't do anything.
Yes. Is it are the groups big groups, or how many people usually in
15
15
persons, yeah. And 4 or 5 students, and I and professor, an active professor.
And the average age of the young participants, what is it?
We try to work with the ideal is to work with between 15 and 20, because what is interesting is that we in the urban project, it's always difficult to get this the age, and this project is interesting for that, because we can work with these young people, and often they are not involved in the urban project.
You feel that some of them will be the young architects in the future?
I don't know.
To develop some
yes, but
some vocation.
The purpose is to make them be able to present their own project. That is the way for them to upgrade also, but I don't know if they want to be architect.
Okay.
I can quickly speak about another project, 5 minutes, because it's not always easy to get local residents involved in heritage protection and enhancement, especially when it concerns their own homes. That's why we are also working to find ways to getting more involved in project. For example, we have published a practical guide to help them with their renovation project, because around 10% of the housing in the mining cities belongs to private owners who occupy their homes. For almost a year, we took stock of the work carried out by these residents on the facades and fences of their homes. We noticed that they very rarely respected the architectural and landscape features of the neighborhood. The economic factor is one factor, but it doesn't explain everything. Sometimes residents simply don't know how to do or where to turn for advice. Based on these diagnoses, after meeting and interviewing residents, we decided to produce a practical guide to help them carry out work to improve both the comfort and the aesthetic appearance of their homes. The guide has several objectives. It provides keys to understanding and becoming aware of the heritage value of the home and neighborhood. It provides practical advice on restoring and converting your home and fencing. Practical advice on how to reconcile thermal renovation with the preservation of architectural character. And finally, it gives practical information on contact, regulations, and financial aid available to them. Thank you.
Just show the pictures. And the designs are quite humoristic?
No, it's in French, so.
Yes, of course. How many guides did we have we disseminated since it was published?
Now the rule is that when the landlord sell house, they have to give the guide to the new owner.
Ah.
I will say about 1,000 guides.
1,000 guides, yes.
And
at least we know that 1,500 houses have been sold.
Yeah.
That's what we know about.
It's about 10%
Yeah.
in the all estates,
Yeah.
and in the heritage, for the heritage list, it's about
1,500 houses only have been sold. So it's really how much the landlord or the two social landlords are important in our case. There are very few private properties inside of the perimeter. That's why, in a way, we could select and put 124 housing estates within the perimeter. We could not be able to negotiate and to sign a contract with more than 100 owners, private owners of houses. It would have been impossible, even in the duration of the preparation of the nomination bid for World Heritage. To have two social landlords was quite convenient in the process. But of course, as you have a kind of a monopolistic approach of two social landlords, it's sometimes very difficult also to negotiate with such powerful institutions. And later on, we will hear and listen to representatives of mayors and local communities have also to work and sometimes a bit to fight with social landlords to in fact to develop the project and all the necessary steps of the retrofitting project. Yes, do you have some? We have a few minutes before Jean-Paul is speaking for Rennes. Can you in fact present some of your tools or practical guides or videos or something you would like to talk about to talk about the theme of our case study? Please tell us if you want to talk. You don't have problems with the residents and how you don't take care about the preoccupation and expectation of residents in your garden cities? I'm sure that you wow. You have to.
Yes, we also have a guide made for the garden city of Terelst. It was a bit inspired by Greetje's work at the campus landschap. And it's for now it's just a guide for how to renovate and also expand the houses in the garden city with respect of the heritage values. But also important parts focuses on to make the houses more modern with techniques, but also the possibilities of external insulation. So the guide focuses on materials, colors, but also architectural details, how it has to be done. So if someone asks building permits with city government, they have to put all the details, the colors with the national color system code, also specific materials, and the details in the building permit. So that's a way for us to have some control that it will be realized in that way, and with respect for the heritage value. But now we are making revision of the guide and are looking how can we also focus more on the renovation part. So that our colleagues of Sustainable Environment Department, and they're also looking from which measures can be taken for the specific houses in the department for installation. What is the best first step? What's the best second step? Like the roof, then the windows, and it's matched with our guide for the heritage. So we have a complete advice actually for people who want to start with their houses.
Good. Very interesting. Thank you very much, Liedewij.
The problem that we noticed is that after a few years, a guide is never enough. We have to really work with inhabitants and help them to understand, find the way to involve them. And a guide is never. It's important, but it's not enough to improve the way they can restore. And of course, there are always financial problems, but there are other problems. For example, for the fences and for the vegetable, we try to improve the presence of green spaces and vegetables in the fences, but it's difficult for people to sometimes to know how to manage and to maintain them, and they don't want to spend too much time to take care about vegetables. So we are now working with the city of Rem to find special spaces that could be adapted for this housing estates and with the people that live in. So the guide is important, but it's never enough.
Yes, we know. The guide we made for Terels is also part of the bigger project where we are running a participation project. So we are in close contact to the people who own in the houses and who live in the district. But very important is also close contact of the advisors of the city government and the people who want to renovate, an open line, I would call it, possible direct contact. We go to them, we go to their house and we talk with them about possibilities or how to do it. So people have all the information, but also, as you said, the financial problem is also a big issue, because if you want certain colors or materials or specific details, it's cost a lot more than the normal realization with normal I don't know, worker. So it's also in every district that's a problem, and it's for us as a city government looking how can we respond to that. Can we give financial stimulation for that or not? So yeah.
Great. Is there anyone wishing to say something? Say hello to Lynn Welly from the Port Sunlight Village Trust, who joined us. Thank you, Lynn. I don't know you I don't know you, but I received your mail, and I'm very happy that you could connect to the webinar today. So if there's nobody for the moment wishing to add something, I propose to give the floor to the Ville de Rem, the Rem local community. Jean-Paul Mautier, who's the representative of the municipality, will make a presentation. Jean-Paul, es-tu là?
Oui, je vous entends très bien,
Oui, okay.
pas de souci.
Ah, bonjour Jean-Paul. Hello, Jean-Paul.
Ça va?
Yes. How do we proceed? Do you wish to that I translate things when you're talking? Yes.
Moi, je parle, donc, j'ai pas votre qualité d'anglais, donc je vais parler en français. Je pense qu'il y a une traduction simultanée qui se fait.
It depends. I mean, I'm not sure that everyone got the premium, the Teams premium version with the English subtitles. Can you tell me around who got it or not?
C'est vrai que moi, j'ai pas la traduction en français. Mais...
Two of you have it, but I'm not sure that everybody has
Catherine?
it. So I will translate.
Catherine?
Oui, Laurent.
Pendant l'intervention de Monsieur Mautier, moi je vais passer dans ces cas la langue parlée en langue française et donc pas en anglais. Et donc ça permettra à ceux qui ont la version premium de pouvoir avoir la traduction éventuellement. Voilà, ça peut être une des solutions, mais effectivement, si tout le monde ne l'a pas, ça peut être un frein aussi pour le reste.
Okay. So some of you don't have the premium version of Teams. So I will try to translate what you say, Jean-Paul. So please talk slowly, and I will translate. Huh?
Okay.
Can you see the presentation we shared?
No, for the moment we see nothing. As far as we're concerned, we. But yes, the people having the premiums, the Teams premium now will got the translation. We did it for you.
Still?
No.
No? Okay, we will send it to you by mail, and because we don't know why we can't share it.
Okay.
We send it to Catherine and Raphaël.
Okay.
Vous me donnez le top départ, du coup.
Attends, faut qu'on
il faut qu'on le reçoive déjà.
Là, je faut que je me mette en Wi-Fi.
Okay. Just sent.
Tu l'envoies en WeTransfer ou ça passe en...
C'est passé en mail.
Ok. Donc ça arrive de REM.
Voilà.
Hop, je le charge. Hop. Ok. Excuse-moi.
Okay, great. Thank you.
C'est bon?
C'est bon.
Super.
Jean-Paul, introduis.
Oui.
Dis qui tu es.
Oui, donc bonjour à tous. Je suis maire adjoint de la ville de Reims et j'excuse une fois de plus Émeric Robin, notre maire, qui a été retenu par ses autres activités en tant que président de l'agglomération.
So Jean-Paul Mautier stands for, the mayor of Reims, who gives all his apologies because he has to. He's also the president of the Port du Hainaut intercity cooperation structure. It's in the eastern part of the coal mining field, coal mining area, near the Belgian border. It's a Valenciennois. And so, Jean-Paul, I give you the floor, and please take in mind to stop to help me to translate. Go on.
Ok. Je vais vous présenter rapidement avec quelques photos et quelques chiffres les travaux de requalification urbaine, redynamisation sociale et économique et valorisation patrimoniale et environnementale du quartier de Sabatier et de la cité du Pinson.
So the presentation, Jean-Paul's presentation will revolve around the presentation of all the, retrofitting works of a huge ex-coal mining city quarter. So the city quarter is called Quartier Sabatier, but it's also the very poetic, Cité du Pinson, because, Finch coal mining housing estate. So it will present, in fact, the very huge project. It's really illustrating the integrated approach. In fact, we have to all together, and I know that you share that in many of your garden cities around Europe, to take in hand, of course, the preservation of the architectural and heritage qualities in the new retrofitting project, but also thermal renovation, and also, which is really important in our view, to also keep in hand all the dynamic social and economic redynamization, which is revitalization of this city quarter. Vas-y.
L'objectif de cette opération, c'est d'améliorer le cadre et les conditions de vie des habitants de ce quartier, d'en retourner l'image et de le rendre à nouveau attractif.
Yes, so it's really to enhance or to improve the living conditions, all the environments and the living conditions of inhabitants. Also, it's the same, trend I show you in my presentation. Also to improve the image of which was really the poor image of a coal mining quarter, and also to make them actors of the improvements and of their living environments. Don't forget that we don't have now only in our city quarters. We don't have anymore only miners or widows of miners or people having ex-mining families. They also, it's a matter of attractiveness also for new population coming from other areas of the coalfield and of the region, and mostly also from the Lille metropolitan area. Vas-y, Jean-Paul.
Oui, quelques chiffres historiques et quelques données, comment dirais-je, beaucoup plus liées au présent. L'ouverture de la fosse de Sabatier date de 1907. Elle a été fermée en 1980. Et les premiers logements ont été construits justement cité du Pinson, cité Jardin du Pinson, à partir de 1908.
So, just a few historical facts and dates. In fact, the Sabatier colliery was dug in 19. C'était comment, 1904, non, 1900?
Les premiers, l'ouverture de la fosse 1907, les premiers logements 1908.
Yes. So the colliery, the Sabatier colliery, opened in 1907, and the first housing estates were built in 1907, 1909, and the colliery stopped in 1980.
Yes. J'allais dire quartier et cité construits selon les concepts des cités-jardins tels qu'ils avaient été imaginés en Angleterre.
Yes, there's really, DNA link between the models of the garden cities in Great Britain and the Sabatier and Sabatier Quarter and Finch, Pinson, Cité du Pinson.
Aujourd'hui, le quartier de Sabatier, c'est plus de 2800 habitants, 1100 logements, et voilà, il couvre 90 hectares, j'allais dire, au cœur de la forêt de Reims-Saint-Amand-Wallers.
So, in fact, it's a big city quarter, huh? Because you've got it's really a little town within the town. You've got 2,800 inhabitants living there, and it represents 1,100 houses
Yes.
in the area, and it's also it has a big tram card. The city quarter has got a big tram card, because it's really located inside of the big and nice forest of Saint-Amand-Wallers.
Reims-Saint-Amand-Wallers, yes.
Reims-Saint-Amand-Wallers, sorry.
Oui, c'est important, c'est important.
Very important.
En 2017, on a lancé, avec l'agglomération de la Porte du Hainaut, la première étude pré-opérationnelle donc de renouvellement urbain.
First study in 2017.
Voilà. On a été rejoint et soutenu par ce nouvel outil qui était l'ERBM dans le courant de l'année 2017.
So it's really another demonstration of what we call the Remember for the big interministerial program called the Commitment for the Renewal of the Coal Field. Remember, the objective within 10 years from 2017 to 2027 to renovate at least 31,000 houses in terms of thermal renovation and integrated approach. So really the Cité du Pinson, Quartier du Sabatier belongs and gets the benefits of this wave of the commitment for the renewal of the coal field.
Comment dirais-je? Au cours de ce temps de travail qui a duré une bonne année, on a beaucoup travaillé avec les habitants, avec une vraie démarche participative pour bâtir un projet de requalification qui tienne compte de leurs aspirations.
Yes, as you see, it's another proof that we attempt to involve since the start and during all the steps of the project and of the process inhabitants in the renovation project. And the ville de Reims, Reims municipality really developed many tools and many ways, many tools and many techniques to integrate the requirements, the dreams of inhabitants inside of the project.
Voilà. On a terminé les études préopérationnelles en 2018 et dès 2010.
The first studies were from the the early steps of the project have been now finished in 2018.
Ouais. Et dès 2019, après avoir bâti un programme d'action, les premières réalisations ont vu le jour avec la création de l'éco-ferme du Pinson, la création d'un street workout, la création d'un collect park et l'ébauche d'une coopérative solidaire de quartier.
Yeah. So in fact, within the long process of renovation, the idea is to give inhabitants the first concrete actions of the big program to give them the flavor of it, and also concrete actions to illustrate this big move, this big improvement project. And the first proofs of this change in the living conditions, in the improvements of the living, the environment, and so on and so on, was to create several things, like what we call the eco farm, solidarity cooperative society, collect park, and so that were the first concrete actions that the municipality implemented in 2019.
Bon. On voulait, après une année de réflexion, tout de suite passer dans le concret. Bon, à côté de ça, le programme prévoyait la rénovation de 800 logements miniers et la rénovation d'une grande partie des voiries et des espaces publics.
Yeah, so the following phase of the project was scheduled the renovation of 800 housings, and also and also an ambitious program of retrofitting of public spaces.
Les premiers programmes de rénovation de logements ont commencé avec SIA en 2020.
So in 2020, these works started with the second big landlord, which is called SIA Habitat.
Et on a enchaîné ensuite avec Maison et Cité sur 600. Donc le premier programme de SIA, c'était globalement sur 200 logements. Et avec Maison et Cité, les travaux ont commencé en 2021. Et là, ça portait sur, et ça porte encore, parce que c'est pas fini, sur 600 logements.
Okay, so the first part of the works concerned 200 housings with the first social landlord, because there are two landlords, social landlords, which are included in this city quarter. And the second part of the works, second period, was concerning 600 housings, and this phase is still in progress, because all the works are not finished for the moment.
Voilà. À côté de ça, on a engagé là un petit peu plus tardivement en 2023 la réhabilitation des espaces publics avec une requalification complète de l'entrée du quartier et de quasiment 7 km de linéaire de voirie.
Okay, so the phase of the renovation of the public spaces is still in progress. Yeah. Just the entrance of the city quarter have been treated. The project is to renovate 7 kilometers of roads.
17.
17 or 17?
No,
7 kilomètres.
7.
Sorry.
7.
7 kilometers or kilometers of road, and you see on the photo on this slide the idea to have more attractive and public spaces in the project.
Donc les travaux sur les voiries ont consisté à enterrer tout ce qui est lignes électriques aériennes, etc., à gérer les eaux pluviales sur place, c'est-à-dire non plus dans des réseaux, mais en infiltration. et à végétaliser ces voiries et rendre, comment dirais-je, sa vraie place aux piétons.
Yeah. So it's a complete change in terms of image, and because it's really at the same time to bury all the grids, all the aerial grids, and so to bury them. It's also have to have a special treatment, of the water supply, thanks to infiltration techniques. So it's as far as the coalfield is concerned, it's quite it's now well developed, and it is adopted as a technique in the city of Pinson and Quartier Sabatier. It's also a better place for pedestrians. This we all know in our and mostly in France and the coalfield, also the very the ticklish relationships between pedestrians, and also the place devoted to car parks and car circulation inside of our towns, and also in our city quarters.
Sur l'espace public, on a changé aussi tout l'éclairage public, hein. On a refait complètement le réseau d'eau usée et le réseau de distribution d'eau potable.
Yeah, so you've got also a change of all the street lamps, and also all the all the water, drinkable water supplies, and so on and so on. It's the change also concerned these items. T'as encore combien de diapos, Jean-Paul?
Bah, c'est Fanny qui gère les diapos. Moi, j'ai quasiment fini là.
Oui, ok.
J'ai plus
Combien ça
que.
coûte?
C'est ce que j'allais vous dire. Avant d'en venir au prix, je voulais aussi évoquer
Oui.
le travail qu'on fait de requalification de tous les délaissés, les d'anciennes friches d'habitat qu'on requalifie en espaces verts et qui servent aussi à la gestion des eaux pluviales.
Yeah. So of course it's also a very shrewd approach to in fact to treat and to retrofit all the the existing brownfields still existing here and there, to give them a new functions in terms of the infiltration of water, of rainwater, for instance, and really to cure all these little scars of brownfields inside of the city quarter.
Voilà. Pour ce qui est des coûts, la requalification des espaces.
Jean-Paul,
Oui.
sorry, Jean-Paul. I just also give the view for our European friends of this magnificent wooden church, which is really the heritage and the mark of the Polish immigration history in our coalfield. And you see, you can find a little Polish wooden church inside of Rem, city quarter of Sabatier, and I think that sometimes in the year you can also hear some masses, Catholic masses in Polish in this beautiful. It's really a jewel. This église, this church in Sabatier.
Alors, elle est aujourd'hui en vente, donc avis aux amateurs.
Yes, Gretchen has to leave, and Dirk has to leave, but all the remaining guests, you can buy this church. It's you can, yes, the owner of church is selling it, so you can buy it if you want. I don't know the price, but well, so it's also something we have to face. Is that even of course, churches and some facilities, former mining facilities, have to find new functions, has to find resources to renovate, to get renovated. And that's also a stake, something we have to fight every day to find money and find new owners and new functions for these former facilities in the city quarters. So, how many millions, my dear
How many
Jean-Paul?
millions? Pour les espaces publics,
For public
17,
spaces.
uniquement les espaces publics, 17 millions.
For public spaces, 17 million euros.
Voilà, financé par l'agglomération, la ville, mais aussi, bien sûr, par l'État à travers l'État, la région, le département à travers le RBM.
Financed, by, the city of Rem, of course, the Port du Hainaut Intercity Cooperation Institution, la Port du Hainaut, and also the region, the state, and the département, all in, the big program we heard a lot about. It's the commitment of for the renewal of the Caulfield.
Et pour ce qui est des maisons,
17 million euros for public spaces only.
Pour ce qui est des maisons, globalement, faut que vous comptiez 100 000 euros par maison. À raison
100,000 euros per house.
À raison de 800 maisons globalement, là aussi financées par le RBM, comment dirais-je, les bailleurs sociaux, les deux bailleurs SIA et Maison Cité, et puis par là aussi l'agglomération.
So the renovation of 800 housings, you can count on. It's calculate. It's 100,000 euros per housing. So it's and it's fully financed by the two social landlords we heard about. Of course, the city, the intercity cooperation structure, communauté d'agglomération de la Port du Hainaut, the region, the state, département.
Voilà ce que je pouvais vous dire sur le quartier de Sabatier et plus précisément sur la requalification à la fois des espaces publics et des logements de ce quartier qui comprend la cité du Pinson, comment dirais-je, qu'on peut qualifier de quartier, de quartier jardin.
Yes, it's not only a city, garden city. It's a garden quarter, if we can say. Thank you very much, Jean-Paul, for this. I think a very good example of what's at stake in our area. I know that we share many things with you in Europe and in the network, and it would be a nice field visit if you could come and visit us. It would be a pleasure to exchange and to organize a workshop or field visit with you. We still have thank you for your attention. We are going to leave in a few minutes. Gretje and had to leave, Dirk and had to leave, and Lambert. But they will talk with me tomorrow, I think, to debrief with Fanny the results of the webinar. The webinar will be recorded, and you will have access to the recorded version of our webinar for your long winter evenings. It will be a nice nice to hear again. No, I think that some of you are really interested to make it to disseminate it, and we are very happy with that. Do you have a question first question for Jean-Paul and Fanny for City of Rennes? And I will finish things with asking Callum, Lidegwe, Nadine, Lynn, and Karina, who would keep up the flame and propose something within the months to come. Do you have another theme also to propose, or do you want to spend your holidays in the Nord-Pas-de-Calais Coalfield Basin? We have many things to do, so you are welcome. So yes, to keep a few minutes to ask you what you expect or what you would like to treat or to tackle as a theme for a webinar or something. So first, do you have a question for Jean-Paul?
Bon, j'étais très clair.
So it's a compliment, Jean-Paul. You were so clear, so clear. It was crystal clear. No, nobody would like to.
Alors, je vous quitte.
Tu nous quittes, ce n'est pas de dépit. Hein?
Bon,
Ce
allez,
n'est pas de dépit.
je vous souhaite une bonne journée, en tout cas.
Ok, Jean-Paul. See you.
À
See you.
bientôt. Au revoir.
Okay. So is it but maybe too short? But do you have another theme that you would like to tackle in a webinar, or a comparison with with Great Britain examples? Or please, we have a few minutes to exchange on that. No, for the moment. Nadine, no, you don't. Do you have an idea or something you wish to go further on something with Great Britain or something?
Yeah, I think I'd like to take the experience with what I've seen today and all of the presentations, and just sort of overview those with my colleagues and come back to you on that. But it has been great, as I've said, you know, so I think there's so much happening in Dulwich that we could use as a comparison. And we have also got a few new members of team staff here as well that has joined our sustainable advisory. So there's quite a few things that are happening with the Dulwich estate that I'm sure we're going to be able to share and present to you our wins also.
Good. It was wonderful to hear, and we will be ready to continue our exchanges. And we were Fanny and I we were lucky enough to visit Dulwich. Yeah, within the garden cities, and we made some beautiful pictures, and we were really so happy to visit Letchworth and Dulwich. So it was really great.
It was great to have you.
Yeah. So we are ready to come back, you know.
I'll let the team know.
Yeah. So and we will also disseminate the presentations of this morning. We will work on with Fanny with a few figures, the resume, the summary of what Jean-Paul.
We will make a full presentation with the key facts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Noemi still on the air?
I don't think so.
No, she's maybe she left. Yeah. So because we will also share things about the birthday of the Île-de-France Garden Cities Association too. So we will keep in touch for that too. Okay. So Lideve, you're not very far. We can go and visit your city garden cities in a few months. No?
Yeah, sure. And in a few months, we have more results in the garden city of Terels, but also in other garden cities. So I will suggest it to Dan, my colleague, and see what's possible.
With Gretje and Fanny. And also, yes, in fact, we will also talk about what we do inside of the Garden Cities network to our mayors here. You can, I don't know, maybe all your mayors are so enthusiastic about having their garden cities, very proud of them, and in fact, treating them like jewels and so on and so on. Here in the Nord-Pas-de-Calais Coalfield, and Fanny can also, I think, share the same opinion. We have really to prove that our garden cities are really special and are a kind of treasure, you know, for heritage, for people, for inhabitants, and to give all your examples, you know, in Europe, to say, well, you see, the mayor here, the Dulwich Estate, or the University of they really work on that, and they can bring you the proof that you can do another way, and to keep together the heritage, the evolution, the thermal renovation. It's something really we need here. I would say, you know. So we are not really at all blasé and very keen on knowing more about you and your examples. It's something we appreciate, and we are not very. We need help.
Yeah, the same to convince politics.
Yeah, to convince politicians and local mayors and so on. So yeah. Fanny, do you want to ask something? To say
it's
something?
okay. No, it's clear.
No, it's clear.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there nobody else for saying something, no, so fine for you. Okay. So thank you very much. I hope it was not too long and you were really not fed up with all our French examples. They're really imperfect. We're quite proud of our heritage, yes, of course, but it's really imperfect. But that's us, and maybe it's the webinar was an occasion, an opportunity for you to know a bit more about us, and we would like to continue our exchanges. So we will disseminate the presentation and the recording version, and we will debrief with the big chief, who is Gretche, to know how we could go on with you in the months to come. Is it fine for you?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Okay.
So have a nice day. Here it's sunny. It's sunny here in Nopake Coldfield. So how is it in Dulwich?
Kind of sunny. Kind of sunny, but very cold.
Yes, only it will last a few minutes, but it's fine. So have a nice day.
All right. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Very much.
Have a great day,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.